Tundu Lissu is a long-life fighter for human rights and democracy, currently serving as chair of Chadema, the biggest opposition party in Tanzania. He was arrested and charged with high treason on the 10th of April, which carries a death penalty. After calling for electoral reforms during a peaceful rally, international organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, or the International Democracy Union have condemned Lissu's arrest, with many calls for his release and condemnation of the attacks on political freedoms and human rights. The EU contributes hundreds of millions of euros to Tanzania through various initiatives. We have to be very clear that any European cooperation investment has to be tied to progress in the areas of the rule of law and human rights. The European Commission must closely monitor developments, and especially Tundu's trial. Thank you very much.
Bardzo dziękuję, panie pośle. Głos zabierze autor.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to the author of the resolution, Marit Mai. 1 minute.
Chair, Commissioner. In Tanzania staat Tundu Lissu mogelijk de doodstraf.
In Tanzania, Tundu Lissu may be subject to the death penalty. Why? Because he stood up to the Tanzanian authorities. He's been charged with treason, with publishing false information, and could be subject to the death penalty. In October, elections will be held in Tanzania, and the members of the opposition can't stand. They're being repressed, they're being arrested. We want sustainable development, and we want to be able to work with Tanzania, but unfortunately what we're seeing is a crackdown on civil society and journalists there, and the European Union really should be speaking up against countries where the death penalty exists, including Tanzania. Rule of law, freedom of expression, judicial independence, they're not optional. We call on the Commission as well as the Member States to ensure that Mr. Tundu Lissu's trial is followed very closely so that we can see that it was fair, and hopefully he will be released. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jan Christoph Etienne, author of the resolution.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioner, colleagues. We talk today about Tundu Lissu. Tundu Lissu is the opposition leader in Tanzania, and he got arrested after having advocated for free and fair elections. And we had high hopes here in the House after Samia Suluhu Hassan has become president of Tanzania, and we hope for reforms in the country. But it appears that it's not a positive way that Tanzania is taking at the moment. We request to the Tanzanian authorities to free him, free Tundu Lissu, to organize free and fair elections, to let the opposition party participate equally in those elections. We request from Tanzania to cherish democracy, because we want Tanzania to be a good partner for the European Union so that we can continue our cooperation. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję.
Thank you very much. Now I hand it over to Catarina Vieira, author of the resolution.
Thank you very much, Chair, colleagues, Commissioner. Mr. Lissu started his career as a lawyer, working on land rights and on the impact of mining in protected areas. His political activity and his exposure of government corruption made him a target for an assassination attempt, followed by several years of exile in Belgium. He returned home to Tanzania. He became a leader of the opposition party, and just last month he was arrested, disqualified for participating in the upcoming election in October, and charged with treason, a crime punishable with a death sentence. This is not a standalone case. It exemplifies the regime's treatment of political opposition, civil society organizations, journalists, indigenous peoples, and human rights defenders. Anyone who poses a threat to the ruling elite is effectively silenced. The EU can and should do more. We should make any future EU investments in Tanzania conditional upon improvements of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Embassies and the EU delegation must monitor the trials of those unlawfully detained, and we should increase the funds supporting civil society and indigenous communities. Today, this Parliament stands with Mr. Lissu and with all of those unjustly deprived of freedom in Tanzania. To them we say, you are not alone.
Bardzo dziękuję. Pani poseł, głos zabierze.
Thank you very much. Now over to another author of the resolution, Tomasz Fröhlich. 1 minute.
Pani Przewodnicząca, Deutschland zahlt rund 160 Millionen.
160 million euro have been sent for help to Tanzania, 107 million in addition. So as a socialist president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, 2021, when he took over, he was extremely naive as well as far as his particular approach. There was persecution, torture, and all of that with the help of the money that we provide. And with Mohammed Ali Kibao, something of a similar nature happened. So right now, Tundu Lissu is in prison with a death sentence hanging over his head as well. The stability of that particular country is in our interest as well. It's in our interest as well to protect this country from the terrible poverty that plagues it, to protect us from migration from that country as well. So we have, I think it's very clear that we have to measure what sort of help is provided to Tanzania, particularly taking into consideration.
Thank you very much. As part of Catch the Eye.
And that was a bit.
As part of the Catch the Eye, we have one speaker, Luca Sipa.
Dear people of Europe, when I was a small child, I had a window to Tanzania. My father was there and helped the people with Magicians Without Borders and treated Tanzanians in the bush. And he came home not with photos, but with a way older technique, and showed me the joyful people of Tanzania, their culture, the love that they have for each other. And Tanzania itself has been an island of peace, of stability, compared to the region around it. But now, with Tundu Lissu, the opposition leader is put in jail. He faces a death sentence, and that's always wrong. So, with all my heart, I support this urgency and thank the authors for their important work. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję. O głos poproszę.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to give the floor to the Commissioner, on behalf of the European Commission, Commissioner Michael McGrath.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to all of the honourable members for their contributions to this debate. And let me first start by underlining that I am pleased that the EU's recent engagement with Tanzania has been intensified, including through holding a good first partnership dialogue in December last year and a visit of Foreign Minister Kombo this year in April. We are convinced that a credible and transparent electoral process in Tanzania is key to consolidate a vibrant and healthy democracy. It unlocks business, trade and investment potential and helps Tanzania make progress towards achieving its long-term development goals. We deplore the arrest of and the charges against Tundu Lissu and the disqualification of his party, Chadema, from participating in the elections. These concerns were raised directly with Foreign Minister Kombo during his visit by both High Representative Kallis and also European Parliament Vice President Omarjee. I assure you that the EU delegation and the EU member states in Tanzania are monitoring closely the political situation, following the legal proceedings and reaching out in different bilateral contacts with the government. While we cannot interfere with the judicial process, we urge the authorities to ensure a fair trial for Tundu Lissu, to respect his fundamental rights and ensure the integrity of the upcoming elections. Let me also stress the EU's strong and principled position against the death penalty in all cases and all circumstances. We call on Tanzania to take positive steps towards its full abolition in line with the worldwide trend. As a long-standing partner of the Tanzanian people with shared common goals, the EU remains committed to supporting dialogue and inclusivity in society for the benefit of all citizens. We are keen to further intensify our constructive dialogue with Tanzania on such matters, also with the support of the European Parliament. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I close the debate. We have received 6 draft resolutions. The vote will take place tomorrow. Let's proceed to the following point on our agenda, which is the return of Ukrainian children forcibly transferred and deported by Russia. The first person to speak will be Jessica van Leuven, who is the author of the resolution. She has 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Chair. 1 minute is way too short to mention the names of all these children, 20,000 and likely many more that were kidnapped from Ukraine. But I will mention 3 names. Karina, 4 years old, Vladislava, 3 years old, and Marita, 1 year old, that were all 3 taken from Kherson by Russia. This is not an incident, but part of a systematic Russian campaign to erase Ukrainian identity and steal Ukraine's future. These children are illegally adopted or sent to filtration camps, where they are subject to Russification, illegal adoption, and even sexual abuse and exploitation. Many children have lost their lives, killed by Russian forces. In the camps, they are forced to forget about their homeland, to eventually replenish the ranks in the thinning Russian armed forces, to fight against their very own homeland. My heart cries for these children and their families. Safe and unconditional return of these children must be part of any peace deal, and all responsible for these crimes need to be held accountable. As a mother of 4 children, I urge you all to support our resolution and to raise your voices, because these children must come home. Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję, pani poseł.